Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. Today's episode, we're going to discuss the Twilight Domain Cleric. I have a lot of opinions about the Cleric, and a lot of them are not popular. So, before we jump into that, please like, share, subscribe. We love interacting with you guys. We love to hear your comments, so please keep that up. It's so exciting for us. So we're going to jump into a little bit about the Cleric, my opinions about the Cleric, and how some of the things in the Cleric end up ultimately being a sad missed opportunity. Now let's talk about the Cleric. I have a lot of respect for people that play supports, mainly because I just can't do it. That being said, yeah, you're a Cleric. Everyone expects you to heal. I've talked about this before about other people playing your class. I don't play a Cleric because if I ever let anybody know I was playing a Cleric, everyone in my groups tend to, or especially ahead of time, will not pick what they were going to do and pick something else, and then no one else would basically have a healing ability or skill, and then it would all de facto fall onto me. So again, I don't really get the availability to play Clerics because it really just doesn't ever work out that way. Mainly because I'm not going to have fun if I have to do all the healing, because I don't like that. But the Cleric has incredible spells available to them. A lot of them are just wildly powerful, and a lot of them get slept on because nobody looks at them because they pick the next healing spell, the next buff or debuff. And really, that ends up compounding what the Cleric does, and it really minimizes its full capacity. I really wish there was a way to better mitigate that, but a lot of the times it comes out to your group and whether or not you feel comfortable enough to risk it without a healer or without someone taking healing spells. I'd love to play a Death Domain Cleric or a Grave Cleric and not take any healing spells. Even though I would hate doing so, I would still pick up a few because you are still responsible for helping your team, and when you have the availability to heal, you have to do it, even if it's just a little bit or as a backup or something, because it gives you that comfort and that availability to go on and accomplish things that you would not be able to do so without a healer. That being said, there's a lot of missed opportunities to do a lot of cool things with the Cleric because of that. So a lot of the times your spell slots will go to healing and buffing your party and taking care of overcoming shortcomings and things like that. It's unfortunate. It's kind of the way they ended up being, because everyone sees Cleric and everyone's like, oh, never mind, I don't need to be a support, we have a Cleric, or don't worry about it, we have a Cleric. And then it ends up like just dwarfing your availability to build your character and do your things, unless there's another person who wants to be a healer or supporting character. That being said, if you're ever in a group and you're all thinking about characters and you really want to ruin your DM's day, everybody roll Clerics. If you do that, you will have the offensive capabilities, you will have insane survivability, and you will be a force to be reckoned with. A lot of you have high armor availability because of your domains. You will be using a lot of different spells depending on what domain you pick. You can get AoEs, you can get fireballs and things like that. There's so much synergy between the own domains. If you do roll up all Clerics, there's really very few things the DM can throw at you that you won't be able to handle that's appropriate for your level. He might have to throw things way beyond what you should normally be fighting just to compensate for your survivability and damage output that you can do when you are focused that way. And that just goes to show you how scary this class actually is. So really do your homework with your party before you decide to roll up a Cleric, and make sure it's going to fulfill the roles that you wanted to do, so that way you can have fun playing it. Clerics gain access to their domain abilities at level 1. They're very similar to sorcerers in that aspect. So as soon as you pick your Cleric, make sure to go in depth into what domain you choose. Choosing the Twilight Domain Cleric gives you a couple of things, as you will get in choosing any domain. First and foremost, you get a bonus spell list. These are your domain spells. These are always prepared, so you have them ready to cast in case. It helps just broaden your arsenal. A lot of them are very thematically based on creating light where there is no light, and going forward with things like that. So like Fairy Fire and Moonbeam are very thematic of that, or at least they feel that way to me. So Seeing Invisibility is also there. It's cool. You get your own invisibility later on. It works with the theme of darkness and kind of controlling it, or at least being able to exist within it and the things necessary to survive that. Also at level 1, you are going to get bonus proficiency. Every cleric domain gets a bonus proficiency or 2. This one particularly gives you martial weapons and heavy armor. Understand, you are now available to wear heavy armor. This is a huge boon defensively for you. This is what makes them so survivable. You can carry, plate and a shield and be rocking really high AC, and the availability to boost that up with spells like Holy Shield and things like that. So your defense is innately there. Your survivability is very, very, very good right off the bat at level 1. One of the other abilities that's very, very cool about the Twilight Domain Cleric, and this is really going to blow your minds, is Eyes of the Night. Starting at level 1, you can see through the deepest gloom. You have dark vision out to a range of 300 feet. In that radius, you can see in dim light as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. As an action, you can magically share the dark vision of this feature with willing creatures you can see within 10 feet of you. Up to a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier, and the shared dark vision can last for an hour. Once you share it, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of any level to share it again. I know right off the bat everyone hears dark vision out to 300 feet and their minds are blown. Here is the issue. Understand that the benefit of being able to share it with someone who doesn't have dark vision, it's great, don't get me wrong. Like I almost every race has dark vision, and most of the time I play races that do. So I'm really kind of itching to play a race that doesn't, just to really feel that difference, especially that I'm so accustomed, because I like playing monsters and I like playing characters that are not normally like, so tieflings, half orcs, like anything gross and weird or big and scary, like, and they all have dark vision. So I think it's about time I really give this a shot and just feel it out and say, is it really that bad, or does it create this cool like cat and mouse element of how far you can go forward to explore without becoming at risk, and how real that risk is might be really exciting and a change of pace. So that's just a little bit about dark vision. The next ability you gain at level 1 is Vigilant Blessing. This gives you the opportunity to touch a creature and give them advantage on the next initiative roll that they make. The benefit ends once they make the roll, and if you cast it on somebody else, it removes the effect on the previous person having it. You can do it on yourself. Great, awesome. Figure out who you need to give this to. You're looking at someone maybe has low dexterity, that has a very strong attack or a very big reason to go first. Higher level rogues would have a very good advantageous reason to have this. It's always good to have someone go first. Say someone rolls poorly, get them a chance to do better, because attacking first makes a big difference, because you have the opportunity to diminish the availability of enemies attacking you, be from debuffs or just flat out destroying somebody. So weigh the options, look at your party, and figure that out. Sometimes it might not be best for you. I feel like as a cleric, a lot of the times it's not going to be best for you to use it on yourself, but it will be better for other creatures or other characters that you need to do those big things in order to set the battlefield. If you have a controller or someone who likes to put up segments that prevents the availability of the enemy to move, that's the guy you want to go first, because he has the best setup to guarantee you're going to win or to mitigate what can happen to you guys. It's a little bit about party knowledge. Talk to your party, see what they feel like, see what they're like in combat, and benefit to yourself. You can use this constantly, so just keep throwing it on different people if you like. Share the wealth, whatever. It's a free bonus, it's great to have advantage, especially on initiative. All clerics gain Channel Divinity at 2nd level. You gain 1 for just turning undead, which is inherent to the cleric class, and then you get 1 specific to your domain. This Channel Divinity for the Twilight domain is called Twilight Sanctuary. At 2nd level, you can use your Channel Divinity to refresh your allies with Soothing Twilight. As an action, you present your holy symbol, and a sphere of twilight emanates from you. The sphere is centered on you and has a 30-foot radius and is filled with dim light. The sphere moves with you, and it lasts for a minute or until you are incapacitated or die. Whenever a creature, including you, ends its turn in the sphere, you grant that creature one of these benefits. You either give them temporary HP equal to 1d6 plus your cleric level, or you end one effect causing it to be charmed or frightened. Defensively, removing charmed or frightened, very important, especially because a lot of the times the people that get charmed or frightened are the people that desperately need to do regular attacks or get close to an enemy so that way other people don't get hurt. All your tanks, all your beefy characters, all your heavy damage dealing physical damage people like your rogues, getting hit with frightened will crush them. And it's a very debilitating effect on them, and it limits where they can run to. So understand, if you are frightened from an enemy and they are standing in front of the only exit, you cannot run away until you move him out of that exit and you are available to go around him in a way that isn't moving towards him. So your movement is greatly limited. Figuring that stuff out and knowing your combat awareness, great. This is an awesome way to alleviate that pressure because it's a 30-foot radius. It is huge. This happens every turn, so you can keep dumping temporary HP on them, which is great, which makes your characters last extensively longer. 1d6 plus your level. At 2, you can go anywhere between 3 and 8 temporary HP, which is definitely at least a hit. Further on you go, it's not going to be as much when enemies start hitting you for like 20 or 30 or whatever, but it will be a better defensive measure at that point because it's just pure damage mitigation. It works. It's beneficial. Use it. Usually whenever you're in a big fight, don't hold on to it and wait for the last second because you get 10 rounds of this. You want to make sure you get this going as long as possible because that's going to help mitigate damage and the threat level because your survivability will go up because of it. At 6th level, you gain access to Steps of Night. Starting at 6th level, you can draw on the mystical power of night to rise into the air as a bonus action when you are in dim light or darkness. You can magically give yourself flying speed equal to your walking speed for a minute, and you can use this as a bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Flight is one of those things, the more I see it, the less impressed I am with it. You can use it for certain circumstances, and a minute time in combat or something like that is great. You can just stay out of melee range of creatures that can't hit you. Say they just have like a club or a sword or something, and that's it. Well, now they can't touch you for a minute. So it's a great advantageous thing to do. But where and when you need to use this is really what's going to be important. Understanding and seeing those opportunities is great. A lot of the times you really won't need to fly straight up. I'll be honest with you. It can be helpful. You will avoid having to climb things, which is great. So you won't have to make checks like that, but you can assist other people, which might make things a little easier. And if you have a lot of strength, because again, you're probably wearing heavy armor because you have proficiency here, you can probably carry your smaller people, your gnomes and your halflings and things like that, and just whiz them off to wherever you got to go, alleviating them from falling to an environmental danger. Again, flight, great. Level 6, totally useful. Never not going to be useful, but trying to find a real reason or a situation to use it might not occur as often as you just feeling like using it and being a boss and doing it. At 8th level, you gain Divine Strike. This is just really to keep your damage on pace with everything else, or at least to keep you going. Keep in mind you do have cantrips, so they do level up and they get stronger anyway, but what Divine Strike does is You gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with divine energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal an extra 1d8 damage. When you reach 14th level, the extra damage becomes 2d8. It's great. You are a cleric, so you should have access to spells that do radiant damage, but an easy thing that doesn't require a resource is divine strike. So if you're fighting undead with undead fortitude, this will take care of that really, really easily, and it will be very beneficial to you. Again, it's a buff, it's a bonus. It really doesn't do much besides add increased damage to your regular attacks, but you can do this with reach weapons, which you have access to because of your domain. So keep in mind, if you want to use a pike or a glaive or something, and then add this, give yourself a little bit of a range, and just swap in and out of it, that's a great benefit to you as well. At 17th level, the final Twilight domain ability you get is Twilight Shroud. The Twilight that you summon offers a protective embrace. You and your allies have half cover while in the sphere created by your Twilight Sanctuary. Again, that's your Channel Divinity ability. This gives you +2 to your armor class and +2 to your dex saves. This is good because this puts a cleric like yourself that has access to heavy armor and a shield. Now you're looking at maybe 22 AC to hit. Like, that's a very big bonus, and plus the Twilight Shield is bumping everyone's AC, and on top of that you're dumping temporary HP onto all of them, or you're ending conditions on them. It's a very good defensive ability. It's a very strong defensive ability, and you really get it super late considering the last ability you get is at level 8, but it is a very, very powerful one. Again, you are a spellcaster, so your best mechanism for offense and defense and utility is your spellcasting ability. And as the cleric has a lot of spells available that can really, really impact the game, you have that already. This is an incredible way to buff your entire group and to keep your allies going even further, especially if you're in fights at 17th level. It is a nasty fight that you're going to have to survive, and killing enemies in one shot is not going to happen. So it turns out to being like a slugfest for basically every encounter, and you have to mitigate yourself as best as possible. So this will definitely be a big boost. It's very, very valuable, especially considering it lasts a minute. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about considering using this, and try and get the most out of it as you can, because any fight that you don't take damage is a benefit for your end fights because you have more resources going into that big bad. Final thoughts on the cleric. The innate cleric kit is so powerful that you cannot go wrong. It doesn't matter what you do, the cleric is very strong. Its spells are awesome. It's a full casting class. You gain access to awesome spells. Your spell casting is wisdom, so you have great perception. A lot of the buffs you get from this domain, I think is a little overshot on how great people think this is. But I do think it's strong. I do think you have a lot of great things you get out of this. The Twilight Sanctuary is an incredible buff to your team. It's very indicative of being this dark cleric of night, and just showing the better parts of night and that comfort that comes from it. And I think that's a very cool concept, and it's very cool the way they brought that into combat. But the cleric is a monster. It is a beast. It is hard to take down, and when it wants to, it can deal out incredible damage. You gain extra radiant damage on your regular attack. You probably won't be doing that as much as you want, but the availability when your cantrips are not working for that benefit, you do have that awesome ability to do so. You can also build yourself a little bit of strength anyway, because you want to take advantage of heavy armor and the shield and all of that stuff that comes with it. And keep in mind, switching weapons is just amount of movement per combat. So you can sheathe a sword and pull out a glaive and just swing, and then put the glaive back, put the shield on, and then start casting. You know, you don't always need to have a weapon in your other hand, so you might just switch out one or two things. You can have just a shield and a glaive or something like that, and just go swapping it. The benefits are great. It's very cool. The things that you get to do is very thematic, which is a nice build on really pulling you into the domain, and that's something that the cleric class does really well. It makes all the domains really fit into that and separate from each other. Yes, some things carry over, like Divine Strike is in some other domains, but it gives you a different damage type. But it feels good to keep that continuity of darkness and twilight and encouraging you to be in darkness because it feels right to be that way. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate everything you guys do for us, and thanks for giving a Spooky Kid a chance.